I saw my ex-boyfriend walking out of my roommate's room. The confirmation that I had been waiting for was finally here. Henry and I had gotten approval for the house which we wanted to buy together. We never thought it would happen so quickly, but it had happened unexpectedly. My boyfriend Henry looked at me with the most eager eyes ever as I read the confirmation letter. Is this not the best birthday gift ever? I was waiting until the day after the party to tell you this. I hope that you are happy with the news that I have given you. Henry beamed as he looked at me adoringly. But you said that it would be another month before we got the approval. This is unexpected. You were keeping this from me all along? I felt a lump in my throat and my voice getting shaky. Yes, baby. It is a second birthday gift. Are you ready for us to start our lives together? Henry asked me, eyes shining. Yes. But I have one question for you before we finalize everything. I needed to get these answers from the horse's mouth. Buying a place together was going to be a big decision after all. Of course, baby. Please be quick, though. We have so much to do. We have to get on the phone with the lawyer and the bank, Henry added. I sweetly smiled at him, but it did not hold actual sweetness. It was biting, and he seemed to sense it too. It indeed appears that we have a busy day ahead. I patted his chest a couple times when he remained mute. I just want to know if, at some point during the busy day, you plan to tell me that you kissed another man last night at my birthday party, I asked nonchalantly. In situations when I was hurt, I showed no emotion. Not once have I ever given a person the satisfaction of seeing me cry. Today I was holding on to my wits because my body threatened to disobey me. The possibility that my boyfriend of nearly 5 years had cheated on me was high. A person I trusted a lot told me the previous night. I had been too drunk to deal with how I felt then. Instead, I pretended I was okay for the rest of the night. But now I couldn't hold it anymore. Instead of jumping to conclusions on the basis of someone else's statement, I was giving him a chance to explain himself. Kiss? Henry muttered and turned pale as the words came out of his mouth. His entire demeanor shifted from cheerful to concerned. I remained stoic as I waited to see what he had to say for himself. Babe, I can explain. I am so sorry. I was completely wasted. I know it is not an excuse, but when he kissed me, I did not have the power to resist. George, you have to believe me, he pleaded, words coming out of his mouth so fast that he could not catch a break. Oh really? You just tumbled into Jaden's arms. The same Jaden I told you had a crush on you, yet you dismissed me. How convenient for you. Let me tell you what I really think. I stopped and punctuated each of my next words with a poke straight to his chest. I think that you have been cheating on me with him, but got caught last night. Now you want to buy a home with me when you know that you kissed another man last night? Henry tried to hold my hand, but I shook him off. His touch completely disgusted me in that moment, and all I wanted was to get away. I threw the letter in his face, then I made my way to the door. Babe, I love you so much, and I am sorry. I swear that I feel nothing for Jaden. It was a drunk mistake, he pleaded. Henry, you made a joke of our relationship on my birthday. This is not something to take lightly. I cannot stand to be in the same room as you right now. Leave me alone before I say or do something that I will regret, I shouted angrily. Henry was in front of me in seconds, cupping my cheeks and looking into my eyes. I saw pain and deep regret in his eyes. Yet it was not enough for me to let this go. For weeks, I had a feeling that he was hiding something big from me. What if this was what he was hiding from me? Cheating was a deal breaker for me, and it would be against my very nature to forgive it. Even though we loved each other and had been together for nearly 5 years, I could not let this go. I needed space. I need time to think about this, I said softly, powerless from his touch. If I stayed there any longer, I was going to do something bad. But what about the life we want to have together? The home we want to buy? Look at this approval letter, baby! He shoved it in my face. His voice was breaking and his hands trembled as he reminded me of what we had been working toward. You are right. What about the life we want to have together? I said mockingly as I took the letter and looked at it. My hands acted of their own accord as I tore the paper up and threw the pieces in his face. There. There is nothing left for us now. We are over, I declared before I shut the door in his face. I made my way out of the apartment building and went home. I did not rest when I got home. I would deal with my emotions later. Frantically, I pulled out everything that reminded me of him and packed it in a box that I sent back to him. Inside, I gave him a note telling him to burn everything that I once gave him. Afterward, I cleaned each and every inch of my apartment so that I would not have to smell his scent on me anymore. However, no matter how much I scrubbed, I could not get rid of his fresh pine scent. That was when I realized that I used a cleaning detergent with his scent, which was why the cleaning was to no avail. So I decided to go apartment hunting. I needed to get as far away from him as humanly possible. All that reminded me of him needed to be erased before the pain registered in my brain and before I came to remind myself that love was an illusion that evaded me no matter what. So, I did exactly that. 9 months later. It has been 9 months since our breakup and I was doing much better. I had moved to a shared apartment at the edge of town and was focused mainly on my job. In addition to that, I filled my spare time with hobbies and sports. Inside, I was numb and did not really think about my breakup. Every time I did, I pushed the thoughts to the back of my head. One morning, I was making breakfast for myself and my roommate Archie when the door to his room opened. I was always hyper-aware of any sound, so I assumed that it was Archie. "Good morning! I noticed you did not come down for dinner last night. I assumed you were busy with something. I have made some breakfast for you. You are not going to reach your weight goal if you do not eat, you know," I said teasingly. I picked up a plate so that I could give Archie the food, but I stopped dead in my tracks. "Henry?" I said as I saw the man walking out of the room. He looked disheveled and a little bit different from the last time I saw him. "George," he started, but then Archie came out from behind him. "I see you have met Henry. Henry, this is my roommate George. Now let me walk you out," Archie said and proceeded towards the door. Henry reluctantly followed after him. As I stood there, I began to realize what had happened. Henry and Archie were sleeping together and I had just found out. There was no way Henry knew Archie was my roommate unless he was completely crazy. So far, he had respected my no-contact rule. I was pretty sure that was just a coincidence. I decided not to worry about it. Archie was an experimental person. He was probably going to have another man or woman coming out of his room the next day, or so I hoped. A couple of days later, as soon as I arrived home, I headed to the shower. My friends had invited me to a quiz night and I was in a hurry to get there since traffic was hectic. I opened the door of the shower, stripped off my clothes, and was inside within seconds. I sighed as the water ran down my skin, washing off the day's dirt. At that moment, I heard someone breathing. I looked to my side and saw Henry shaving his beard right next to me. I screamed and jumped at the same time. The next thing I knew, I was flat on my back and my excruciating pain was spreading through my leg. "George, oh no! I am so sorry!" Henry exclaimed. Within seconds, he was pulling me out of the shower. Before I could protest, he carried me out of the bathroom. He took me to the couch where he gently laid me and started running up and down the hose. "Where's your first aid kit? Oh my god, should I put ice on you? What have I done?" Henry was clearly freaking out. Clearly, he had not changed. He was the worst person to handle a crisis. "Calm down. The kit is in the bathroom in the bottom drawer. I think it's just a sprain. Get me painkillers and I'll be fine," I said calmly. He followed my instructions to the T and got me what I needed. I took the painkillers and laid back down on the couch. A second later, he laid a blanket on top of me. "I figured you might be cold," he said, his voice sounding thin and stressed. I opened one eye to look at him. It appeared that my suspicions had been right. Henry looked a lot different since the last time I saw him, and not in a good way. His clothes now fit loosely on his body, and his hair looked like it had not been cut in a very long time. I decided not to ask him questions, whether about Archie or about his life. He was no longer my person, therefore I did not care. We sat in awkward silence until Archie came home from the store. He found the whole misunderstanding funny, but was sorry that I had to miss quiz night because of that. Archie helped me into my room and set up a game for me to play before he went back to Henry. I could hardly focus on the game because now I realized that Henry had probably been hooking up with Archie for so long. This was strange for Archie. He never saw the same person multiple times. What if he was falling for Henry? I cared for Archie as a friend and did not want him getting hurt again. His breakup 2 months ago had hit him so hard that he started doing one-night stands. If he was falling for Henry, then I had to warn him that Henry was a cheater so he would not go into this blindly. A week later, Henry had come over a few times over the week and it bothered me. I saw the way Archie's mood always improved right before or after Henry came here. I felt as if something was budding and I needed to put a stop to it. After fighting my nerves, I finally confronted Archie about Henry. It was not an easy wound to reopen, but I knew I had to do it. "Hey Arch, we need to talk," I said to him one evening during dinner. "What's up, Georgie?" Archie asked, rather cheerfully. I see that you are getting quite close with Henry. There is something that I need to tell you about him. Henry is the ex who cheated on me. The one who kissed another guy on my birthday. I did not want to tell you because I was sure it was a temporary thing, but now it looks more serious. I blurted everything out in one go. Archie was silent for a moment as he digested things. I will stop seeing him if that is what you want, he said. You do not have to stop seeing him if you enjoy spending time with him. I just need you to be very careful around him because he is a cheater. Do not fall for him, I explained. I am going to have to talk to him. I do not get why he did not tell me about this. I had no idea that I was putting you in such an awkward position by having him over all the time, Archie said apologetically. I had no idea that I was putting you in such an awkward position by having him over all the time, Archie said apologetically. I am fine, do not worry about me. I am just looking out for you, I said as I smiled lightly and changed the topic to something else. A couple of days later, Archie did not bring Henry over again after our conversation despite my insistence that I was okay with them hooking up. I felt a bit bad for meddling, but I was just protecting his heart. I figured that was the end of it and Henry was out of our lives, but boy was I wrong. About 2 days later, Henry was at our door. Archie is at work, did he not tell you? I asked as I stared him down. I do not want to talk to Archie, I need to talk to you, Henry clarified solemnly. I stepped to the side and let him in without a word. Instinctively, I made coffee for him and told him to take a seat. Here you go. I take it Archie told you what I said? I began the conversation. Henry took a sip of the tea before he continued. He did. I wanted to explain everything to you. I have not been okay since what happened between us. I have been a mess, Georgie. I cannot believe that I lost everything with just one kiss. I did not have anything further to say to him. I just stared at him and waited for him to continue. I have tried everything so that I could forget you. I have tried drinking, smoking, running, and hookups just so I am not trapped alone. I have used every vice I can think of so I can forget you. I have chased those temporary moments when I am not haunted by the look on your face when you told me that it was over. His voice broke slightly. I see. But do you know what hurt me the most? It was the fact that sometimes drunk actions reveal inherent desires. That was why it was difficult for me to forgive you. Worst of all, it was with Jaden, whom we had been fighting about. I finally let out the thoughts I had suppressed for so long. I am sorry for disregarding your feelings. Trust me, I have been thinking about this one for all these months. I have changed. There were tears in his eyes, clearly pleading for my understanding. If you are going to start something with Archie, then fine, but do not hurt him. He has been through enough. As for how much you have changed, I will see, I concluded. Henry nodded understandingly and then put down the cup. I just wanted to say that I did not realize what I had till it was gone. If I could go back in time, I would not have that kiss. I would have fought harder. I guess a part of me appreciated the attention I got from Jaden because you tend to switch off when you are busy, he informed me. And although whatever he said hurt me, Henry was not wrong. When I was in crisis mode, I turned off my emotions. Sometimes my relationships suffered. I hated being in the wrong, but his words struck a chord. Please, stop punishing yourself over the past. I do not hate you, I said to him because I felt he needed it. I kinda got that vibe because you remembered how I like my tea. He broke into a little smile. We exchanged a look of understanding and then he let himself out. Even after he left, I thought of all he said. Maybe I could have been a little more understanding. However, what did it matter? We could not turn back the clock. The damage had been done. I did not see Henry at the house again after our talk. I thought of him often and wondered what he was up to. I hoped that he was not beating himself up over what happened. Even I could not revel in his suffering. Even though I reassured Archie that he could still bring Henry over and I did not mind, he told me that they were done. No, it is fine. We were getting to the end of it. The last few times we met were awkward, Archie confessed. Because of me and my big mouth, I assume? I asked. No, he seemed to have a lot on his mind. It was a bit of a turn-off for me. Who knows what's going on with him? Archie shrugged. I became curious, wondering what could have been bothering Henry. I had to tell myself to get it together. We were over and I was not responsible for him. A month later. I saw Henry's sister, Stacy, a month later. I almost did not recognize her due to how different she looked. "Oh my gosh, how many months along are you?" I asked her after we exchanged greetings. "I am going on 7 now. My feet are killing me. This line is so long," she said. We had bumped into each other at a fast food place. "What are you getting? Why don't you take a seat and I will order for you?" "There is no way I am letting you stand," I suggested. "You are a darling. Honestly, I could eat anything. I just need a banana milkshake." Stacy beamed as she scanned around for a seat. She found one and sat while I ordered the food. I made my way back to her immediately afterward and placed the food with her. "That is too much food for me. Why don't you join me for a bite?" she asked. "Oh no, you are being too nice." I tried to get out of it. However, she was insistent and I ended up sitting with her. We enjoyed our food in silence until she broke it. "How have you been?" Stacy asked. "I have been busy," I replied curtly. "How has the breakup been?" she asked me. Henry's sister was one of the few people who could see through me. Even Henry could not see through my facade most times. "You have been overworking yourself and distancing yourself so that you do not feel the pain," she called me out. "It was working well, but your brother is everywhere. I could not speak anymore." "I will not tell him anything you tell me. I have noticed a change in him. I had a feeling you were back in his life somehow, but he did not tell me what it was," Stacy confessed. "He was seeing my roommate for a while. It was difficult to see him all the time," I confessed. "It made you miss him?" she asked as she took my hand and squeezed it. I felt my eyes watering and intense emotions coming over me. "You found it so easy to move on after me while I cannot have any man romantically touch me. I have been numb. A freaking machine, all because he destroyed all that we had." The raw truth escaped from me. Truth was, I was trying hard not to fall apart after he hit our future with a sledgehammer. "George, I'm going to need you to listen to me. And even if it doesn't justify what happened, I need you to hear me out." Stacy put down her phone and looked at me very carefully. "My brother has a substance abuse problem. He has managed to hide it from you, but it is bad. What happened at your birthday party was my fault." I frowned because this was new information to me. "Tell me exactly what you mean right now, Stacy," I said sternly. "I kept on begging Henry to get help and to tell you. However, he refused. That day, I told him that you knew and would leave him if he did not get help. It was supposed to force him to seek help. Instead, he was triggered and he thought you hated him. He got blackout drunk that night and then he kissed Jaden. Jaden, who is his AA sponsor," she shared. My jaw dropped at this revelation. "The hell? But why would Jaden take advantage of his weak state?" I asked. "After you left, Jaden kept on getting my brother drunk. I think it is because he knew that was the only way that Henry would want him. I ended up moving in with Henry to keep an eye on him shortly after I found out I was pregnant. He insisted so he could care for me, but my condition was that he should stay sober and clean," she shared. "He admitted to me that he indulged in so many other things, though," I protested. "It has been a very rocky journey. About a month ago, he checked himself in for professional help. He really wants to change," Stacy told me. A sinking feeling developed in the pit of my stomach as I realized that I was not there for my Henry when he needed me. I was not emotionally supportive, therefore Henry could not confide in me when he was struggling. Instead, he was comforted by the wrong person and things. All I ever did was blame and crucify him. I never tried to understand why. He never lied about changing his ways. He was actively trying to be a better person who his loved ones could be proud of. Sure, he had drunk and taken substances, but now he was in rehab. He had slept around after I left, but maybe he has finally stopped. I thought of how so much could have been better for him if I had been a safer space for him. Right now, he needed the people who cared about him around him. For once, I would reach out." "Is there a way for me to contact him there?" I asked his sister. "Sure, you can visit him, but it takes a while to get approved. However, you can call him any time before 8 p.m. if you want," she told me. "I think that would be perfect, thank you," I said as I took the number from her. 1 day later. I only got the courage to call him a day later. Every time I dialed the number, I got very nervous and chickened out. This time, I let the number ring. A lady answered the phone and forwarded me to him upon my request. I waited a second as she connected us and took a deep breath. "Hi, who is this?" Henry said. You sounded so much better than the last time we spoke." "Hey, Henry," I answered. He was silent for a moment, and I expected him to hang up. "Stacy told you." "I'm sorry for disappointing you," he said, sounding embarrassed. "Henry, please, do not say that." "Actually, I was calling you to apologize," I admitted. "Why?" This time he sounded puzzled. I cleared my throat, my heart right in my throat. I was nervous, and rightfully so, for not being a safe space for you. I feel like if I was there for you and easy to talk to, you would have told me what was going on. "I did not know you were battling this all along," I said softly because I was feeling so raw on the inside. All the emotions I had been trying to suppress had all come flooding back, and they were overwhelming. Henry softly smiled on the other side. "I must be dreaming. You never apologize for anything. You have always said that certain lines can never be crossed, and I crossed them, even if I was blackout drunk. After that, I slept with your roommate. You must be ashamed of me because, honestly, I am." Henry blurted out, just like he did when he was anxious. "Henry, please calm down. You are going through a difficult time right now. The last thing you need is persecution from anyone, especially not me. I called because I want to support you," I said empathetically. "How?" His voice was so hopeful it made me teary. "I want to be there for you and your sister in this difficult period. If you need anything, you have to call me. Do not forget that before everything else, we were good friends who supported each other. It is not a lot, but I hope it will be enough to make up for the lost time," I responded to Henry's question. "I would love that," he said, and I could sense the smile over the phone. 2 months later. After the 2 months, I did everything I could to be there for Henry and his sister. I visited Stacy and made sure she went to all of her appointments and spoke to Henry all the time. He was out by the end of the 2nd month. He looked so much better than before and seemed to be well on the path of recovery. I saw him a little in between him catching up with work and being there for his sister. In small glimpses, I saw the Henry I love return, but he was not the same. It was like his soul had been marked by what had happened. Deep down, I knew he would always have that scar, even though I wanted to heal it. My heart had softened to mush when it came to him. He could call me and I would go running. Archie was a bit concerned about me because I was always so high alert when it came to him. "You know, he is not going to disappear if you do not check on him every 2 seconds, Archie said one morning. I raised an eyebrow in question and he further elaborated. "You have called him twice this morning already. You are always calling him or texting him. When he does not text you back, you freak out." "Do you want to smother him?" he asked. "I do not want him to relapse again," I explained. "Obviously. Why else would I check in on him all the time?" "Oh, okay. So it is not like you are in love or something?" Archie asked as his eyes sparkled. "Shut up!" I rolled my eyes at him. Later that evening, it had been 4 hours since Henry was online and I was worried. All day he had been giving short replies. I could tell something was stressing him out, but I did not know what. I struggled to get people to open up emotionally, so I had no idea what to even say. I found myself unable to sleep as the hours rolled by. By the time the clock hit 1:45, there was still no message from him, so at this point I laid back and closed my eyes, falling into a half-dream. I checked the phone multiple times afterward. The next afternoon, I got a text just as I was leaving work. My heart skipped a beat when I realized who it was from. It read, "Hey, sorry, the past day has been crazy. My sister has just given birth. She is at the hospital." As soon as I read the message, I drove to the hospital. I found Henry in the cafeteria. He looked like he had not slept a wink, but he was okay. "I have been worried about you. Why did you not text back?" I asked as soon as I saw him. I pulled him into a tight hug. I felt a bit warm on the inside at the relief of him being finally in my arms. "Okay, get away from me, I stink," Henry said as he pushed me away. I chuckled and pulled out a chair. I proceeded to ask him a million questions about his sister until we were able to visit her. She had a healthy baby boy who looked just like her. After seeing her, Henry and I awkwardly walked together in the hallway. We had finished talking about the baby and we now had nothing to say. I decided to break the silence. "Sorry for blowing up your phone," I said. "It is okay." He laughed as if it was no big deal. "Sorry for also smothering you," I carried on. Now I was the one rambling on and on. "Like I said, it is okay," he repeated, but I could sense a hint of annoyance. "I guess it's not easy not being able to see you every day. I miss you, Henry," I said truthfully. He gasped at my sudden revelation. "I missed you too, George." His hand reached out and touched mine. He did not let go till we were at the front of the hospital. Well, I guess I better get going now, he broke the silence. Would you like to come to my place? I have a huge steak that I have been saving for a special occasion like this, I suggested. Oh, I do not want to make things awkward with Archie, Henry said awkwardly. Actually, Archie would not mind. Besides, he is away for the weekend, I explained, smiling softly at him. A grin seemed to make a home on Henry's face then. I would love to! I tried my hardest to contain the joy that was in my heart. We were far from okay, but much better than a year ago. It was so much more than the both of us hoped for. Conclusion. I supported Henry throughout his healing journey. He got better with time. We took our relationship slow until we got back together. We plan to buy our dream house in the coming year. Archie and Stacy have been our biggest supporters. The end. Would you forgive your partner if they kissed someone else while drunk? Thanks for watching. Consider liking and subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.